Let's jump right into this explainer where we're going to unpack the horrors, the wild secret plots, and the startling origins of World War I. And we're doing it entirely through the lens of the landmark documentaries and films that captured it. Over the past century, filmmakers have used some truly incredible archival footage, interviews, and animation to make sense of a conflict that literally shattered and reshaped the modern world. So let's uncover exactly how these filmmakers managed to visualize the unimaginable. Its terrible message was that war can affect change, that war can fulfill ambitions, that war can work. There's a haunting takeaway from the brilliant 2003 documentary series, The First World War, that perfectly frames our whole journey today. As the very last veterans of this conflict pass on, we really have to ask ourselves, how do we actually remember a war of this magnitude? That 2003 series stripped away the veil of tears to show us the brutal, functional reality of the conflict. It wasn't just a senseless tragedy in the mud. For some empires, it was a highly calculated tool for global change. Section 1, the spark of global fury. It is just staggering to comprehend the sheer speed at which the world went up in flames. Using the acclaimed French documentary series Apocalypse as our guide, we can track how a single, obscure assassination set the patriotic grudges of European monarchies ablaze. In June 1914, Gavrilo Princip assassinated the heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire in Sarajevo. By August, an Apocalypse details this through stunning colorized footage. Germany was invading neutral Belgium, literally burning the cultural city of Leuven to the ground just to keep to their invasion timetable. And by November, well, the rapid movement had frozen completely. The Western Front stabilized into a deadly, muddy stalemate. Millions of men were suddenly trapped in the trenches. Section 2. The unvarnished truth. What's really fascinating here is how radically the cinematic portrayal of those very trenches has evolved over the years. We have two completely different documentary approaches, separated by 85 years, trying to capture the exact same horror. Back in 1933, the film Forgotten Men hit theaters. It used raw, stark black and white archival footage, some of it actually acquired from cameramen who died filming the battles. It was meant to serve as an urgent, unvarnished anti-war warning, trying to shock a new generation out of fighting another global war. Fast forward to 2018, and we get Peter Jackson's They Shall Not Grow Old. Jackson reviewed 100 hours of Imperial War Museum footage and 600 hours of veteran interviews. He colorized the footage, corrected the film speeds, and even hired lip readers to recreate the exact dialogue of the soldiers. Talk about a game changer. It shifted the documentary lens from a stark political warning to a deeply personal, incredibly immersive experience of what it was actually like to be a soldier on the line. Section 3. Secret plots and sabotage. But hey, this war wasn't just fought in the muddy trenches of Europe. I was completely shocked to learn through the PBS documentary The Great War that there was a deeply hidden shadow war happening right here on American soil. Long before the U.S. actually entered the conflict, they were already under attack from within. As the PBS series highlights, back in 1915, a German diplomat's briefcase was discovered in New York, and inside, documents exposing an elaborate spy network. The Germans were secretly funding sympathetic American newspapers, paying corrupt union leaders to stage strikes to stall production, setting up literal fake shadow companies to disrupt the munitions trade, and even plotting a political coup in Mexico. They were risking absolutely everything to stop American supplies from reaching the Allies. This is really the exact moment modern American interventionism was born. Intercepted by British naval intelligence, the Zimmermann telegram was a breathtaking conspiracy. Germany literally proposed an alliance with Mexico and Japan, urging them to declare war on the United States just to keep America out of Europe. When President Woodrow Wilson and the American public found out in March 1917, the outrage was explosive. It was the final straw that dragged a reluctant America out of its strict neutrality and into the global fray. Section 4. The propaganda machine. Once America officially entered the fight, President Woodrow Wilson faced a massive challenge. He had to rapidly engineer domestic support from a population that had just spent years wanting to stay out of it. This is essentially the birth of modern state media. The government created the Committee on Public Information, or CPI, run by a PR guy named George Creel. And they didn't just put up a few posters. They inserted propaganda into the very fabric of daily life. If you went to a movie theater, a 4-minute man would pop up and give a passionate speech about the war. Go to a county fair, someone was there selling you a war bond. They made it impossible to escape. And coupled with the Espionage Act, they aggressively suppressed dissent, ensuring every single citizen got in line behind the war effort. The documentary really shows how effective and, frankly, how oppressive this campaign was. Section 5. Bringing history to life. Looking back through these cinematic lenses, we ultimately have to confront the staggering human cost. 10 million soldiers dead, 9 million civilians dead, 21 million wounded. Just think about that scale for a second. An entire generation wiped out. This unimaginable toll is heavily documented by actual veterans in the groundbreaking 1964 BBC series, The Great War. That series was incredibly unique because it featured interviews with men who were still relatively fit in their late 60s, recounting the horrors they witnessed firsthand. When you hear the voices of those lost soldiers represented by the survivors, well, these massive numbers become chillingly real. So, how do we keep that memory alive today, over a century later? Well, modern creators are really stepping up to the plate. The heavy metal band Sabaton released a 67-minute animated film in 2023 called The War to End All Wars. It was actually donated to and screened in 140 museums across 30 territories, all to encourage local history engagement. And then you have the Great War YouTube channel, originally hosted by Indy Nadal and now Jesse Alexander. They painstakingly recap the entire war week by week, exactly 100 years after it happened. It's projects like these that ensure a new, digital-first generation never forgets the sacrifices that were made. I'll leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. As the final first-hand witnesses to the Great War pass into the history books, does their reality just become entertainment? Or through the tireless work of documentary filmmakers, historians, and animators piecing together the archives, do we actually see the full, complex picture of the war more clearly than the people who lived through it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the lens through which we view the past, and I'll see you next time.